What's happening is whether the assurities and the guarantees given by George Magoha, the minister, are enough in terms of curbing exam leaks or cheating. He says it's leak-proof and nothing is going to be leaking out, according to the minister. But we are going to be having that as we seek the sentiments of our panel here on the roundtable. Gentlemen, good morning. I do appreciate your time. Victor, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. It's been some time. No. Was I away or you were away?
I've been away for almost half a moon. I've not been well.
Philip Ambole is lawyer and, of course, commentates on matters that do develop in the country. Good morning, Wakili.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
I do appreciate your time. Adede Paul Adede is, of course, a political commentator and analyst. So we began with the main headline of the Daily Nation. Here we go, and which pertains, of course, the pledge given by CS George Magoha regarding, of course, the forthcoming Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education. My starting point is you, Wakili.
Yes.
And we have seen the enmeshing of three ministries, ICT, Interior and Coordination of National Government, and the Ministry of Education regarding, of course, what's forthcoming with regards to the KCPE and the KCSE. Is that enough guarantee and assurance that the exams will not leak?
For me, it is an exciting moment to once again to see Magoha and Matiang'i reunited. They have been able in the past 3 years, I think, to properly clean the education system by ensuring that our examination processes are fair and without the cheating that was there previously. So I think the team assembled should be able to deliver. They have delivered before, and I expect them to deliver this time around. And it is something Kenyans should celebrate, yeah? We shouldn't have a school somewhere in the remote parts of the country having more than 240 A's. We shouldn't have a Harambee High School. I know that I'm saying there are no bright students there, but we shouldn't have a Harambee High School somewhere with no B's, no C's, only A's. It had gotten to a point where our examination process had become a farce. And I think it has been redeemed so far, and that is the way to go. Yeah.
Victor Marende at the center. When you look at Magoha making this pledge, of course, he has been hard on the opposition, all those who are opposed to the competence-based curriculum CBC rollout in the country. Again, this assurance comes just days to or prior to National Examinations Administration across the country. Do you look at him as perhaps the man who will streamline the education docket in the country?
You know, I have really wanted Magoha in the cabinet since he left the University of Nairobi. And for some mean reasons, I wanted him at the Ministry of Health. But then when he was put at the Ministry of Education, I welcomed it because he's been in the sector as a vice chancellor, as a lecturer. And he's been a team player within. Now, after he left the university, he was taken to head the NEC. And we saw some radical changes in the NEC because that's the nerve of the examination in the country. And for almost 2.5 years, we had a NEC that was streamlined because cheating begins at the NEC. No, the ministry has no exam. The NEC has the exam. They set it and print it. And we saw him manage it in a proper way that showed that he was interested in our examinations. But then, fast forward, I would really want to congratulate my brother for making good sentiments. But I'm not happy when he says that an Harambee school producing 240 A's. You know, an exam must not be only a good exam when students fail. An exam merits to be an exam when it's competent. When a less privileged student can prove to the society that I'm better. And when a student from a very, very low background is also given an equal opportunity. Because had it not been for education, most of us would not be here. So let's appreciate that for better and quality education that reaches everywhere, then we would appreciate that we have a very fundamental and working ministry. And apart from just the exams that Magoha is handling, I would really want him to handle the facilities within these institutions. We have Form 4s going there, going to sit for the exams without seeing the laboratory apparatus, most of them. We have most of them going to sit for physics practicals without seeing those exams. I remember when I did my KCSE, I did a physics practical that I had never seen in my life. But then I had to cope with this with the prevailing situations. I hope in the coming future our kids would not be forced to do such things, because then education becomes of quality and of much value when we provide it in the best way that it should be. I did my exams when there was no cheating, and here I am today. So I still believe that cheating can be eradicated and that we can have students who are more competent and believe in systems that function.
Okay, Paula Dede, picking up from where Victor has left, I mean, the issue of infrastructure is very key and sits at the most crucial point, or perhaps is crucial in the Ministry of Education. How does Magoha, beyond, of course, this pledge of the examination or the administration of the KCP and the KCSE, perhaps even at the end point of his tenure as the Minister as the Minister in charge of the Education docket, leave behind institutional memory in the essence that he does not only streamline the ministry, but ensures that in the foreseeable future, then this is the docket that Kenyans will most admire in terms of how it has set out its policies and structures?
Thank you. First of all, it's a week of congratulating our athletes for making us proud. Eliud Kipchoge and Brigid Koskei. What you're saying
even
is...
Cherono won.
Even Cherono.
You seem to forget him.
She didn't have pacemakers. So what is there is, one of the things that is now ailing education is the infrastructure. And even if you look at the CBC, one of the reasons why you see the NAT officials are on Magoha, it seems to be the infrastructure. And what Marandi has said, even some of us, we saw Bunsen Banner the day we were doing our KCC practicals. But what is so important, if you look at what my brother Akili was talking about, the Harambee schools. Me, I came from Harambee school. And by the way, if you want to see some of the schools which have hardworking students, are these Harambee schools. I remember that sometimes we could sleep at Sasaba usiku. We wake up by 3:30, we are up. And a lot of drilling. You know, a lot of drilling happens in these big schools. Yeah, as there, we are reading. We were seriously reading. But what you're saying in terms of infrastructure, and that's what the government should really focus on, that our schools, and that's the reason why you see talks of some Harambee school and others a bit because of the infrastructure that they have, which of course we cannot get it 100%, but at least we should go in a percentage of even 70%, where schools, more so in the village areas, for example, the Marsabit, even in the Lonyanza areas, so that we give, and if you look at the CBC will force it, because there are certain things that cannot happen in those schools without those infrastructure. So, Magoha has been good, even with Matiang'i, when he was heading NEC. It's the first time, even Marende is lying, even during his time there was a lot of leakages compared to when Matiang'i and Magoha came into the ministry.
No. Saitoti of us, you know, we have to be at least honest, Paul. There was a period in this country where cheating was not because there was no, you know, what encourages cheating is communication, and that is
depends on technology.
ICT. Then the caliber of teachers that we have.
You know, it had gotten to a point where it was so bad, just before exams would be released, head teachers would be called and be told, your school has performed this way. How can we assist? Do you need any assistance?
That man did not find someone like me in school.
Well, it might not have been as intense as it is contemporary.
But you see, the reason why this was also happening is there is the issue of ranking. Yes. Where schools are being ranked, you're being told your school has performed or not performed. So it was forcing even the head teachers even to open those exam papers before even the exam period reaches. And so that's what the CBC is trying to sort out, that there will be no even school ranking. So you don't have to compete. You compete in terms of competence building, but in the issue of ranking, where you get Maseno is on top. I remember in our school, Orero High School, there's a time the ladies' school, Asumbi Girls, defeated us. They came in our school abusing us that your IQ is low. So the next time now, our teachers
try and
improve and do what it takes so that we defeat them.
Including now of course, putting into place a considerable amount of cheating.
Yes. So that's what was happening then. But Magoha, though is so tough, but sometimes also is saying that he's consulting. But Magoha sometimes is a lone ranger in some of these policies that is implementing. That's the reason why you get is having some problems with the NAT officials. He tried to believe that what he's saying is the right thing, and no one should be against it. Instead of even consulting that, we want to go in this procedure. Yes.
Okay, Wakili, if I come to you then, when you look at the two speaking yesterday, of course, Dr. Fred Matiang'i and Dr. George Magoha, Professor George Magoha, and equally Joe Musheru, who represented the Ministry of ICT yesterday in that presser which happened in Nairobi. You look at the situation in the country at the moment and the fact that ICT was brought on board. Does it inform the fact that in the contemporary society, technology is key, is the nerve driver of events in this country? In the essence, just to cite an example, in the build-up to India's election, 900 million registered voters and the highest users of WhatsApp. And the company had to ensure that you can't share some messages more than you could do because of propaganda, and the site was used for sharing wrong information. Does the ICT come on board to perhaps curb cheating that's happening online?
What information and technology plays a big role in cheating. Remember that most of these papers were being shared on WhatsApp between different students, different schools and teachers. Therefore, its inclusion would serve to not only curtail but also inform on what really goes on behind the scenes. And I think it is a commendable step that has been taken to fill those gaps or voids that were previously in existence. This particular ministry has the technical competency. It has the manpower to man those spaces, which are usually not very accessible to some of us who have that technical skill. And therefore, it should serve to tighten the screws around cheating. WhatsApp, we know, has played many bad roles, as well as positive, as regards many issues. Like you point out in India, it was used to spread fake news. It was used to basically adulterate the whole election. And it can have the same effect here if it is not regulated. You know, funny enough, in Kenya, we don't have a proper regulatory regime. You can have information from any part of the world filtering into the country without anybody seeming to care or even knowing what is really happening. But I still wonder whether our ICT department and the ministry as well really has the capacity, or whether it is just there for show.
These are the guys who believe that social media should not be free.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Let me tell you.
It shouldn't.
There is a reason as to why
this
thing is called social media.
Okay, there must be limitations.
Yeah, there must. You know,
despite all the limitations,
I usually say with every right there comes responsibility. No right is unlimited. Okay. If we are going to have our children watching funny videos on, I mean, should we allow that?
Of course, you'll impose some regulations on your individual point, but apparently we don't have laws that guide us in terms of regulations. So that
the laws we have are
that's
enough.
What Wakili is
the laws we have are enough. These are the believers that, when you know, I had some proposals that before you open a WhatsApp group, that you must get a clearance from the government. What if we have a funeral? We want to meet as a family on WhatsApp, because that happens quite often nowadays. And we have a wedding committee.
Were you not in a position to hold funerals before WhatsApp was there?
Let me tell you, the world has so much evolved that we no longer have runners. I think you came from a serious society, maybe. Whenever I came from, there is a time I was sent from my home, almost 30 kilometers away, to go and inform them that there is a funeral. When I arrived, I first slept because I was so tired and my legs were so feeble. So we have to appreciate technology. Today I'm in Nairobi and I'm put in a WhatsApp group, and I know what's going on in New York without necessarily being there. So,
but what we are talking about here is perhaps how technology can be used to
technology has been used wrongly.
Cheating wrongly. And that's why the ICT ministry was brought on board.
You know, WhatsApp is not our making.
But the assumption that
it's not our making, but equally it comes with responsibility.
It comes with responsibility.
And that is what really makes it dangerous. We have no handle on it.
Yes, because to just cite an example before I come to Paul Wakili, let me just respond to what Victor did say. Is in 2015, Professor Jacob Kaimenyi was put to task by a journalist. I regard that was my colleague who works with the Royal Media Services, Sam Gituku, about a paper which circulated hours before it was even administered. And that was done at the button of WhatsApp, which is so fast and accessible by many. Isn't that perhaps what the ministry is
I
considering?
agree.
Yes.
The ministry should be concerned on how students access phones. While I was in school, it was unimaginable for a student to have a phone. But we have a system where even the teachers give students their phones. When I wanted to speak to my parent back at home,
You go to the teacher.
I was supposed to go to the teacher, and it was this, the designate of the boarding master to ensure that he spoke to our parents on our behalf. We have a system where each student can own a phone, and we call it a digital society. That is what we need to deal with.
I think what they're saying is, because there are just different ways of how exams were leaking. Because today we are using technology. Before, I remember the principals, they could call the examiners. Those who have set exams, they come to your school and teach you what has happened during that time. You see, by that time there was no technology. So there was another method they could use to get those things. So, and then there's a time also, people are now, I remember we were drilled on what? On district mocks. You could take district mock from Nairobi region and even Murang'a region and Kiambu regions. Then you do revision all of them. After you finish those ones, they bring you the examiners. In GH, by that time we were doing social studies, maths, and they drill you on those things. So it's only that technology has made it to advance the knowledge on how the leakages are. But that doesn't mean, even today, even if Magoha is saying, but there will still be a leakage. There will still be a leakage.
Yes.
There will still be a leakage, but you can be sure that without WhatsApp, it won't go far. But like he's saying, that he belongs to a group
Yes.
from which he can receive information from New York at an instant. Can you imagine students on a WhatsApp group where there's been a leakage?
But first,
How fast,
you are saying that...
can you really contain such damage?
That is why I'm telling you, we need to control access to these gadgets.
That's the point.
And your point,
precisely that is the point that
and
Wakili did
that is what
express.
you are talking about, regulation. You even go further, and instead of just regulating them on WhatsApp, you are saying we should even grab their phones and computers and put them away.
Phones are not allowed in schools.
Yes.
So
They are
that
not
is what we
allowed.
need to deal with.
Yes.
When you tell me to regulate WhatsApp, you are regulating adults.
Okay, well I'm sure some even don't need that, but at least there is an element of decency and regulation, self-regulation for that matter, on what you see or what, of course, you view on social media platforms. But let's now turn our attention to equal another developing story, which pertains, of course, a proposed bill, 2019 lifestyle audit bill, which will demand self-declared wealth declaration forms, which will be made easily available to the public. At present, though, the public officers are expected to declare their wealth every 2 years, but the information contained in the wealth declaration form remains confidential and can only be accessed by those in pursuit of public interest. This restriction will be eliminated if MPs adopt a proposed law that is before the Senate. So we are taking a short break here on the program. When we come back, I'll start with you, Wakili, regarding this and how it might end corruption with regards to accountability and, of course, issues that regard the endemic corruption in the country and in government in particular, because it's institutionalized and the president has been on and up in terms of the fight against graft in the country, and whether it will be of positive effect to the taxpayer with regards to, of course, the growing public debt and corruption which continues to corrode the economy. 079-1478990 is the number, 40920 is the short SMS code. The hashtag on Twitter is NewDayKE.